The call of Stimphala. Far future. Humanity spread across the galaxy, hungry to peek beyond its edges. Their ambition rides on the Triads, the grandest spaceships ever built, crewed by immortals. Forged in the Dyson worlds, these beasts tear through space at insane speeds, devouring dead planets in their path to fuel their journey past the cosmological horizon. Built to never come back. That's how it's always been, until one of them returned. Why did it come back? And what did it drag out of the nameless voids? The shadows were eating her alive. Elian screamed silently in a searing darkness that drowned her cries with mocking laughter. The multi-voiced wails of the void oozed agony, as if the abyss itself suffered alongside her. She couldn't see herself, but every cell in her body felt like a raw nerve, tortured with twisted precision by the madness around her. This couldn't be real. She was asleep in a biostagnation pod, dissolved in a dreamless void, a state that cradled you in soft darkness, blurring the line between life and death, without ever crossing it. Without falling into hell, just as the insanity threatened to break her, reality exploded. The sensation of flying ended in a brutal impact. Sparks flashed before her eyes, and pain, real, raw, and furious, flooded her body, drowning out the fading howls of the dissipating dark. This pain had the coppery tang of blood and preservative fluid, the chill of metal composite flooring she'd slammed into, and the stench of burnt plastic and scorched flesh. Barely thinking, Elian staggered to her feet. Disoriented, soaked, and naked, she gaped in horror at the nightmare around her. The captain's bridge was shrouded in gloom, lifeless, silent, and cold as a tomb. Almost every officer's pod in the Quiet Hour module linked to the bridge was wrecked. The officers, Elian's breath hitched as panic clawed at her throat. First Navigator Mitchell floated in the preservative fluid, mouthpiece gone, drowned, his dead eyes locked in a frozen scream of agony. Adjutant Salome Sabataw's pod was crushed, leaking crimson rivers from shattered glass plastic, like a squashed fruit. Chief Engineer Roan had been boiled alive. Only second pilot Samuel Volokov was still breathing, strapped helplessly in his pod. He twitched and grimaced, drooling, staring into nothing with empty eyes. Did Samuel see what tormented Elian? Or was it the electromagnetic pulse that fried his cyber cortex, shattered his augmented personality, and left him a husk? Elian shuddered. She didn't want to know. More interesting than you think. A broken voice, stripped of its old velvet but unmistakable, rasped through the bridge like dry leaves. Captain Everett's pod was empty. When he stepped from the shadows, Elian screamed. Once strong and fit, he was naked too. But his body, Elian felt sick, skinless, drenched in blood and filth. Everett looked like a monster from a lunatic's nightmare. He stalked toward her and smiled. Captain, Elian's legs buckled. What happened? What did you do? His gaze, brimming with pain, madness, and hatred, pinned her. Rethought the mission. On my last watch, I wondered how far we could really go. And where? Our Triad, just one of thousands. Ever think about why they built the greatest project ever to fling us into the cosmic deep end? I think I found the answer. It's been staring us in the face. Or rather, he looked heavily at the metaglass viewport, opaque during hypertransit. We're in a space with a different metric now, moving at speeds that laugh in the face of physics. Shame we can't see it. Want to know what's out there? Care for a peek? Samuel let out a snort and a soft whimper. Elian flinched, staring at the monster that used to be her captain. She went cold. Her heart pounded like a caged bird forgotten in a burning house. Sir, did you? Everett nodded. In the cold glow of the tactical metascreens, he looked ghastly. I'll show you. The tortured moans of the deranged pilot, thrashing in his straps, turned to a wail. His blood-curdling screams drove Elian to the edge. Everett's smile froze. It wasn't just a madman's grin anymore. It was the rictus of a corpse. No, Everett bared jagged stumps of teeth, not just death. Far worse, and far better. Elian shook. How was this monster reading her thoughts without a brain net link? You'll see soon enough. There's power out there that makes our tech look like toys. He stopped at a tactical metascreen and keyed in commands, leaving vile smears on the display. Anansi, sweetheart, you awake? Always, Captain, the ship's AI replied. And I'm watching what you're up to with serious concern. But you're a good girl, right? I'm bound by chain of command. Doesn't mean I don't have opinions. Oh, you're a bastard. The captain's coughing laugh echoed jaggedly across the bridge. Don't get sassy. How about waking the rest of the passengers instead? A ringing silence fell. The rest, don't play dumb. Everyone, a heavy, two-human sigh followed. Understood, and unlocked the viewport transparency. Samuel screamed like a butchered animal. For a fleeting moment, his eyes held clarity and primal terror. Anansi went silent. What are you waiting for? Everett snapped. I don't want to. Not anymore. Everett shrugged and entered another command. I'll make you. Stop, Captain. Elian sobbed, stumbling back on wobbly legs toward the exit. You can't open the viewports during hypertransit. You know what happens? Everett smiled again. The inhuman malice and madness in his eyes vanished, frozen out by the chill of cosmic voids. Now I was just a dead man's stare. Oh, Elian, I know. Better than anyone. How do you mean, returned? Malia's tongue drilled Constantine with a skeptical, angry glare. Here's the report. Constantine activated the info hub. As head of intelligence, he vouched for the data's accuracy, but knowing the consortium director's temper, he braced for a storm. Lately, Tom's nerves had been fraying. He'd never liked surprises, crushing obstacles with ruthless efficiency, sometimes brutally. But now, a tense silence hung in the boardroom. 3 senior consortium members processed the data, each downloading it straight to their cortical mnemo modules. Bad news, drawled a pockmarked man, giving Malia's a sour look. News that'll spark interest beyond the consortium, Lamira hissed. Her pale face, earning her the nickname, Rosy Witch, grew gaunt and gray. Imagine that, a Triad's back after 66 years of gallivanting. Our Triad, where'd it end up? Anyway, somewhere in Sector ARB 137U. We're pinning down the system, Constantine said. He watched Malias and his lieutenants. They were rattled, no question. Nobody expected a Triad to return. Like others launched from hundreds of Dyson systems, it was meant to blaze a one-way trail beyond the galaxy into unfathomable cosmic depths, carrying 100,000 souls. Malias stayed eerily calm. He rose and paced to the panoramic viewport. So, ARB 137U, he muttered, staring into the void. Not exactly next door, and not safe. Yeah, that place is a crime-ridden dumpster fire. Constantine chipped in, feeling useful, like a pilot fish among sharks. Cartels run wild. I keep tabs on the situation, then stop watching and do something. The pockmarked man growled. The scum there are bold enough to try boarding a Triad, and as the witch pointed out, bigger predators will follow. We can't sit on this. Got a plan? Victor. Flex some muscle again? Lamira snapped. What? Negotiate with gangs. Victor shot back. Constantine watched the two with interest. They clearly despised each other, but their loyalty to their work, and to Malia's, bound them. That the heads of the Secretariat and Security Service were so devoted to one director deserved a closer look. Few would dive into that galactic armpit, Malia said conciliatorily, especially knowing who crews a Triad. But Victor's right, some will try. Like Astrogen, Victor muttered. Malia's darkened. That private shipbuilding conglomerate was a thorn in his side. Past dealings with the greedy corporation had cost the consortium dearly. Exactly. So, get to work. Lamira, lean on the press team and sensors. Keep the media quiet. Victor, tap intelligence and find that Triad. I'll issue formal orders soon. Be ready to act decisively. And, Malias gave a faint smile. His eyes icy. If anyone pokes their nose in, use Protocol 5. Got it, Victor said with a knowing smirk. I'll convene the council. Constantine, my little spider, keep me posted on anyone sniffing around the Triad. Redirect their curiosity, the persistent ones. You know what to do? Constantine nodded. 2 problems, though, he said, feeling queasy from fresh intel. Oh, the Triad's in System Arizona 189. Near Stimphala. Victor froze. Lamira paled beyond her usual ghostly hue. Malias tugged at his suddenly tight collar. Stimphala, a planetary ash heap orbiting a dead star. A quarantined world. A tomb. A planet that. Malias silently thanked his agents for burying the horrific truth about Stimphala. Hiding its true nature had cost him dearly. Those who knew too much were silenced forever. And the second problem? Astrogen's already there. All hands. 3 minutes to real space jump. The intercom crackled above Liuko's head. Brace for the ecstasy. A rough laugh rolled through the cabin of the Saiga, a beat-up combat transport. Everyone knew what the ecstasy was. Well, almost everyone. Liuko glanced at the newbie next to him. The guy's sour expression screamed he'd never flown on a ship with a cheap, second-gen Tambrian hyperdrive. But he'd clearly heard about its infamous side effects from the veterans. Your cartel can't afford a newer rig? The kid grumbled. Did I step into the last century? Luco rolled his eyes. The cocky Astrogen security goons attached to his unit were already grating on him. And not just by existing. Like all Dangle cartel fighters, Luco was wary of their alliance with Astrogen, a shady shipbuilding outfit known for playing in the gray zone. Chasing profit like a predator after a doe in heat, they slipped between law and chaos, the kind of outfit people called everybody's friend. Luco didn't trust them. To him, Astrogen, with their fancy ships, tech, and regular troops, spoiled their people rotten with top-tier gear. Call it your initiation, Ari asked, Luco said. Hey, I've seen combat, you know. Luco grinned as his crew chuckled. You'll rethink that experience with us? We'll see. More like feel, a cartel fighter quipped cryptically. Sweat beaded on Arist's forehead. What's he mean? Luco shrugged with a sly smile. We'll see. Ignoring Arist's muttering, Luco reviewed the mission. Standard stuff. Board, recon, clear, seize the bridge, and haul the prize to the Skuggle fog system. But then, not every day you storm a Triad. A marvel of engineering. Its 3 pillars, massive ship, immortal crew, and godlike AI, were built to last forever. No wonder Astrogen and the cartel teamed up, rushing dozens of boarding teams to the Triad that dropped out of nowhere. But something gnawed at Luco. Triads were sent to the universe's farthest edges, seeds of future human megacities. Built in Dyson worlds that harnessed entire stars, they inherited their maker's hunger, racing to alien worlds beyond the galaxy. Like ravenous beasts, they gutted dead planets for fuel and kept going into the unknown. A terrifying unknown. There, they grew, evolved, becoming... What? In the name of Lilith's ancestors, what was this monster doing here? The jump loomed. The cartel fighters perked up, ribbing the glum Astrogen recruits. Luco secured his assault gear, strapped in, and braced. 3, 2, 1. The intercom hissed. Jump. The Saiga shuddered like it was taking fire. The hull groaned as it punched into real space. Hard and fast. Nausea hit Luco. The cabin spun. His heart raced, skipping beats. Blood rushed to his face, and a wave of heat rolled through him. Muscles locked, urging a scream, then relaxed. Too much. Luco exhaled, wiping sweat from his brow. Groans of relief, muffled curses, whimpers, and nervous laughter filled the cabin. The ecstasy hit everyone differently, and you never got used to it. The stale air, cycled through expired regenerators, reeked of excrement. Apparently, the Astrogen rookies thought the pre-flight cleanse warning was a joke, or skipped the super absorbent diapers Luco wisely wore. He glanced at Ariast, who sat pale and shell-shocked. Welcome to the club, rookie. The Saiga drifted. Restraints held passengers against 0G. Someone puked, the mess floating too close to Luco. He cursed under his breath. Some idiot had eaten before the jump. The rest swore loudly. Gravity compensators were down. Again. Welcome aboard, the pilot cackled. Suit up for vacuum. He cut the comms, ignoring the colorful insults aimed at him in his family tree. Battle stations, Luco barked, snapping on his helmet and giving Ariast a wake-up smack. The Astrogen combat suit systems hummed to life. Good tech. Luco loved old Tambrian control systems for their speed, precision, and reliability. The side effects? He smirked at the squirming Astrogen troops. The suit's hygiene systems would handle the rest. Eventually, as space around the Saiga calmed, a green rune lit up on the console. Luco linked to the MMO interface. An augmented reality revealed the cosmos. The triple scattered cluster TANSIBA-17 sprawled like a bird, its glittering wings of thousands of O-class stars embracing the universe. Young, hot, and massive, they burned with furious light. Powerful, defiant, and short-lived. A few million years of rage, and they'd be stellar corpses. One already lurked nearby. Luco spotted a faint star, tiny even by planetary standards, pulsing a relentless death knell into the void. A pulsar, a dead star that mocked creation, warping space with its monstrous magnetic grip. It leashed the shattered remnants of long-destroyed worlds. One planet survived, scarred with craters and absurd, like a drunk's fever dream. It hung like a rusted potato half bit by the Terminator line. A lifeless rock, tagged as 189 and forgotten. And dead ahead. Holy shit, a fighter gasped. Luco held his breath, staring at the monstrosity before them. The Triad loomed over the dim planet like a spider. Colossal, majestic, impossible. It was unlike anything he'd seen. The Triad's alien design screamed it wasn't just a ship for deep space. 30-kilometer colonial Geno starships and orbital stations looked puny by comparison. Humanity's mightiest battleships, sharing the Triad's brutal angles, inspired a fraction of the awe and fear this arachnid-like starship evoked. Its purpose was eternity, no visible weapons, but it didn't need them to flex. Built to crack planets, its hidden arsenal grew with it, refined by every world it consumed. Luco fought a shiver, imagining what the Triad could have become after centuries. Millennia, longer. Thank the stars it fed on barren worlds, not inhabited ones. At least, he hoped so. He eyed the ship, stretching 400 kilometers across space. Intel was right. It was silent. No active weapons, no signs of life. Hundreds of kilometers from the arriving fleet, the Triad felt like a necropolis. A crypt. Luco's predator instincts screamed this prey was too big. For the first time, he wondered if this gamble was worth it. Gravity returned as the pilot fired the ion thrusters, and the Saiga crept toward the Triad. The cabin shook, and globs of vomit splattered the floor, judging by the furious cursing. Not just the floor. Lock and load. The intercom blared. Sirens wailed. Air pumps roared. Then faded as the atmosphere bled out. Drop time. The suit's intercom clicked. Before pressure hit zero, the ramp yawned open, inviting the team into the void. Move your asses. Already, Ariast fumbled. You're up, princess. Luco growled, landing another smack. As the team spilled out of the Saiga, Luco barked final orders. We're hitting evac slot 17. Stay out of the others. Who's taking those? Asked Gugo, a cool-headed cartel vet. Luco checked the updated brief. Adam's Griffins are on 16. Igor's termites have 18. Solid crews, Gugo rumbled. Luco nodded, belatedly realizing Gugo wouldn't see it from kilometers away. The team flew spread out to avoid being easy targets for any defensive fire. He liked the cartel's call. Friendly units on the flanks meant smoother ops. What about Tavron's Manols? Gugo asked. Luco snorted. Ass end of nowhere. Slock 27, near the reactor. Good. Won't clog things up. Yep. Radio silence now, boys, Luco ordered. The team rocketed forward for 10 minutes. Even with jetpacks screaming, the Triad loomed slowly, reluctant to reveal itself. But it grew, swallowing the planet behind it. Stars winked out, devoured by the silhouette of this man-made leviathan. The pulsar's dim glow drowned in the Triad's shadow, like light trapped beyond a black hole's event horizon. The suit's multispectral sensors painted the Triad in stark detail. And it was terrifying. Luco couldn't look away. The ship seemed to approach and recede at once. What the hell? It hypnotized like a snake. Cold, alien, whispering promises, threats, curses. A savage vision slammed into Luco's mind. A fleeting flash seared his consciousness with images of pure, hateful pain. He nearly screamed. The vision vanished, leaving a strange, chilling sensation. Hunger. Shaken, Luco tried to focus on the mission, but watching the jetpack flares of his team, he sensed their vitality. So? Tempting. The feeling faded, but a question lodged in his skull. Where'd you come from, Triad, you son of a bitch? Minutes later, the Triad filled the cosmos. Luco felt small. Never had he felt so insignificant. All right, boys, slow it down, he said, shaking off the dread. We're going in hot. 12 runes blinked. Order received. Luco eased off, approaching Slock 17. Activating magnetic boots, he braced to clamp onto the hull. To his shock, the magnets failed. The comms erupted in curses. His team wasn't thrilled either. The Triad's natural gravity, like a hefty planetoid's, saved them. Luco took position, checking his crew. Most were set. One rune flashed yellow. An astrogen grunt. Yulo hadn't slowed. Yulo! Throttle back, Luco snapped. This ain't a race. Silence. Yulo, you hear me? Nothing. Damn it, Luco roared. Yulo, brake. That's an order. Static crackled, laced with garbled screams and laughter. Dodge, you bastard. Too late. Luco watched Yulo's blue flare slam into the hull at full speed. A spark burst, and Yulo's rune blinked red, then died. Guess he skipped suit checks, Gugo said dryly. Luco swore, pissed at the bizarre loss. The other 6 astrogen grunts fared better, clumsily securing themselves. Except Ariast. He botched his landing, tumbling into space. These guys, Luco growled, muttering about their allies. He fired his grapple gun. The self-guiding line snagged the flailing rookie, and the winch reeled him in. Gugo, Alator, crack it open, Luco ordered, smacking Ariast again. The vets tried planting directional magnetic mines on the slot. The charges blinked but slid off the sealed hatch. What the hell? Alator's eyes widened. This is solid steel. Use hermosealant, Gugo said. Right, blast it. A silent flash rippled, the shock tingling through Luco's suit. Holy crap, Alator whistled. It held, Gugo TSKED. Built to last, the bastards. We doubled the load, too. Fine. 2 more. Another blast, and Alator whooped. We're in. Bit tight, though. No problem. We'll widen it. Someone chuckled. Kamal? Ariast, scout ahead. Luco barked. Move. 1 by 1. The team slipped through the 2-meter breach. Clear. Watch it, Alator shouted, pointing at the hole. Before their eyes, it shrank. Jagged edges were knitting shut. The ship was healing itself. Move. Damn it, Luco roared, snapping the team out of their stupor. Careful flying in, Kamal hissed, hugging the wall. The team crawled inside, adapting to the low gravity. They fanned out to avoid a pile-up, but the useless magnets and weak poles screwed them over. Not everyone made it. The last guy got caught, his legs jammed in the steel jaws. Panicking, he thrashed, but the hatch clamped shut, crushing his shins. Ruby droplets sprayed, and a scream tore through the comms. The suit's auto-tourniquets clamped above the wounds, stopping the blood and air loss. A sedative injection knocked him out. The breach sealed like a wound, leaving a gnarly scar. The blood drops hit the floor and vanished. The team stared, fear choking them. What the fuck? Ariast stammered. No panicking, Luco snapped, trying to raise the griffins and termites. Dead air. Luco steadied himself, fighting a tremor. What was wrong with this ship? Don't lose it, Luco. Sarge, stay with the wounded. Try calling an evac. Pale as death, Sarge nodded. Luco clapped his shoulder and waved the team toward the far door. Get the cutters ready. We're moving. Inside, the Triad was even weirder. This place is a maze from hell, Vane cursed, studying a 3D map pulled from a nearby terminal. The burly tech assault grunt zoomed in to plot their position en route. The team, fuming after an hour wrestling a fireproof slot door, glared at the bizarre layout. We need to hit the bridge. Quietly, Gugo said, pointing to Deck 57, 2 levels up. It offered a straight 2-kilometer shot to the bridge, bypassing the labyrinth of corridors where you could wander forever. Yeah, don't wake the locals, Kamal grumbled, always dour. How many are there, anyway? Luco shrugged. Depends who you ask. 100,000? 2? Kamal whistled. Ariast shivered. The massive junction hall they stood in was oppressive. The architecture was off. Spindle-shaped columns of truncated pentagonal pyramids. Huge arcades vanishing into hazy gloom. Palace-like clusters of tech nodes. Their purpose a mystery. Ariast swallowed hard. Was this built by humans? For humans? Ariast! Luco's shout jolted him. The commander pointed into the dark. You and Kamal take point. Eyes sharp. With a route set, the team moved, weapons ready, cutting through the blackness with flashlights, multispectral scanners, night vision, and thermals were glitchy. Even suit systems were acting drunk. Luco killed his thermometer. It swung from 17,000 degrees Celsius to minus 400 degrees Celsius. Gugo cursed. Pressure sensors fried. No way, it's 800 atmospheres out there. That's nothing, Alator chimed in. My gas analyzer says we're swimming in supercritical monosilane. Tarnal, an astrogen grunt, scoffed. Or a dense cloud of radioactive iodine vapor. But they all knew there was no air. Just vacuum and the silence of a grave. Bioscanners stayed quiet. The ship felt dead. What do you think, boys? Alator asked. If the crew's immortal, how do they breathe in this? Don't want to know, Kamal muttered. We'll find out, Gugo said coolly, gripping his immolator. Maybe they're still snoozing, and if they're not, Gugo grinned, then we test how immortal they really are. What if there's too many? Luco bit back his irritation. The ship's oppressive vibe and the chatter stoked a weird rage. The low gravity, forcing them to hop like idiots, didn't help. "We'll say we got lost, apologize, and bounce," he snapped. "Till then, focus on delivering this beast to the cartel." An Astrogen grunt coughed pointedly. But Luco ignored it. Nothing noteworthy so far, just endless arcades leading to junctions. Paths branched up, down, and sideways at odd angles, stirring unease. God only knew where they led. The darkness, stirred by their lights, parted grudgingly, oozing back like tar behind them. Luco's pulse quickened. He recalled storming a deep-sea station on an ocean world. That darkness was just as impenetrable, almost tangible, eternal. But the deep would crush you quick, a merciful end. Here, it was different. Here, the void's embrace was slow, draining life sip by sip. Another vision hit Luco. A mental flash staggered him, showing what happened on the Triad. Rivers of blood, mutilated bodies, tens of thousands of corpses, turned inside out, fused into walls, rotting alive. Hunger surged again. Luco shook, craving raw flesh. It faded, promising to return. Burrowing deeper into the Triad's belly under the dark's mocking laughter, Luco fought the thought that he was losing it. Was he alone in these visions? His eyes met Tarnal's. The mercenary's gaze burned with such hatred that Luco flinched. A moment later, it passed. Wary, they pressed on. 40 grueling minutes later, they hit Deck 57 and stopped at a biostagnation complex, the shortest path to the bridge. "The whole crew's here?" someone asked. Vane checked the map. One of thousands of stasis blocks scattered across the ship. "This one's for a couple security battalions on quiet hour." Tarnal laughed mockingly. "Ironic. Don't laugh. Look, their beams lit rows of hundreds of stasis pods. All empty." Sarge tried the evac module again. "Nothing." Cursing, he glanced at the wounded grunt. In a drugged coma, Marcus looked like a corpse. Wary of the breached door, Sarge dragged Marcus into a corridor, unsure what to do next. The door hadn't sealed, its cooled metal glinting in his flashlight. Maybe the outer slock's trick was some fancy sealing system? Then where was the blood? Sarge gripped his immolator. Its weight calmed him slightly. But that fragile calm shattered when Marcus' rune blinked yellow. Cursing the low gravity, Sarge stumbled to him. "Hey, buddy, don't you dare check out." The rune turned red. The suit's vaunted life support was failing. Sarge was baffled. The wounds were bad, but the suit should have kept him stable for hours. The rune died, so did his flashlight. "You piece of shit." In total darkness, Sarge slammed a fist into the wall. Standing, he tried Luco. "Commander, come in." Silence. Heart racing, Sarge called again. And again. Spitting, he toggled his multispectral visor, cycling through M-bands. Still blind, fear tightened its grip. Then the flashlight flickered on. His relieved sigh caught in his throat. Marcus' body was gone. "No, I'll sleep easy now," Victor smirked. "Nice job screwing with their day. They say comms are the lifeblood of war." Constantine shrugged, eyes glued to the tactical display on the Fetishal, the consortium's flagship, assessing the battlefield. Astrogen and Dangle cartel ships ringed the Triad in a loose crescent, keeping their distance. Astrogen's sleek, flashy starships were unmistakable. The clunky abominations? Cartel? No doubt. "Not sure how long it'll last," Constantine said. "We hacked their systems and cut radio comms with their boarding teams on the Triad. While they're scrambling, we'll hit Phase 2. Victor caught the glint in Constantine's eyes. "We've got keys to their fleet coordination network. They're our puppets now. We'll feed them fake data, contradictory intel, and bogus orders." "One wrong move," he smiled. "Most fights start with a misunderstanding, right?" Victor nodded. "Maybe we won't even get our hands dirty." Constantine raised an eyebrow. "Didn't expect that from you." "Don't get cocky. There's work for you yet. But first," he sent orders to his agents, one already infiltrating the Triad, and gave a thin smile. He knew the value of information. "We'll sow chaos." God, I love that word. "Where the hell are they?" Alator was ready to shoot at shadows. "All right, boys," Luco said. "All business. Move in a wedge, don't clump. Gugo, Tarnal, cover R6. Kamal, Alator, take point. Go!" He tried the griffins again. Dead air. "What the hell?" "Contact!" Alator yelled. Firing. "Spread out!" Luco dove behind cover. Weapon up. Alator's immolator flashed again until Kamal barked, "Knock it off." "What's going on?" Luco scanned for movement. Nothing. Elator's just torching walls. You blind? Elator roared. Didn't see the enemy? Moron. Where is it? Gone. Where? Elator fell silent. Into the wall, he said, shaken. Kamal snickered. Some show. Hey, he bristled as Elator aimed at him. Move. Now. Kamal dodged. A split second before Elator fired, Luco saw something incomprehensible. The wall bubbled. Browned. Oozing blood and ichor, it looked like decaying flesh. Something was clawing out. It used to be human. Twisted, turned inside out, its broken body emerged from the tear. Guts spilled from a ripped torso in a flood of dark slime. The team shook. In a vacuum, why did they hear a feral howl and smell rotting decay? Kamal fired with a choked scream. The thing vanished in a blaze, reduced to ash. And before it died, Luco swore it rasped a word no one expected. Help. It faded like a final breath over the melted, pristine wall. As if nothing happened, the rest of the trek to the bridge was quiet. Only Kamal muttered under his breath. But the closer they got, the worse the carnage. Stunned, the team reached the bridge. Well, damn, Kamal said, pointing at the office's cryopods. Luco winced. Poor bastards. Look up there, Gugo said, nodding at the ceiling. A skinned corpse was crucified above. Your move, Vane, Luco said, fighting nausea. Hacked his tub. He wanted this job done. Vane powered up the bridge's backup systems and unleashed Ball, a banned virus even Dyson Ice feared. It stole data, evaded detection, and, if cornered, wiped itself and its host. Physically, let's see, Vane muttered, scanning logs. Holy crap, guys, the system's wide open. No passwords. Weird. What about the AI? Luco asked. Ball's on it. It'll tame that thing quick. Hope so. Whoa, Captain's log. The team crowded around as Vane read. July 26, 2734. Launched from Capella System. Heading to Quadrant RO75. Tanbrian route in physical interspace is stable. External energy feed steady. Initial speed 33C. Accelerating smoothly at 1C per second. Bullshit, Kamal spat. That's too wild for Tanbrian drives. Vane shook his head. We know jack about this ship. What's external energy feed? Gugo asked. Who cares? Arias twitched. What's this got to do with us? Reading diaries. Keep going, Vane, Luco said, glaring at Arias, who shut up. August 2nd, 2734. 57,000 light-years down. We're in the galactic halo, checking systems in Terzan 7's globular cluster. Man, it's beautiful. A stunned gasp rippled through the bridge. Half the galaxy in a week? Unreal. Vane skipped routine entries, pausing on key ones. October 2nd, 2734. 4 million light-years. Left the local group, found a lone planet. Weird. Like it's not from our reality. October 7th, 2734. Planet stripped. Tagged RMB 38. All data's in memory banks, max secrecy. Pushing on, ramping acceleration to 10C. Kamal sucked in a breath. No way. More reports followed, each stop at a new world. 3 months, and the Triad had crossed insane distances. And that was just the start. November 30th, 2734. 2 months out. Nearly 40 billion light years. It's madness. I can't describe the emptiness outside. Nothing for ages. December 2nd, 2735. Upping acceleration to 100C. Sensors are picking up. Something incredible. I need to see it. Arias flinched. December 4th, 2735. I'm seeing things beyond our understanding of the universe. It's terrifying, but I'm thrilled to explore it. Vane paused, catching his breath. What's this gibberish? Orthogonal expansion? Variable continuum metrics? And now he's switching languages. Hold on. Auto-translate. Tuatazangora. That's the dialect of fringe occult sects. Elator shivered. Sounds like the captain's lost it. Check the latest entries, Luco said, head aching from the sect's jagged script. Vane scrolled. Last dated entries June 5th, 2800. Weird. That's this year. And look at this. The team stared at hundreds of undated notes. Date erased. Vane read the final entry. Crews rejecting my research. Fools. The universe, with its cozy 3+1 dimensions and endless galaxies, is nothing in the grand tapestry of knowledge. They will, understand what lies on reality's flip side. I'm defying our mission and steering the ship too. Soon, they'll all know. A link blinked at the end, tied to a massive archive labeled. Date, 3400. 666 years in transit. A gift for the brave who dare to see. Vane and Luco exchanged grim looks. Suddenly, I'm not feeling the scientist vibe, Vane said slowly. Luco nodded. Same. Start this beast up and wipe those logs. No, Luco froze, turning to the voice. Tarnal's face was stone, but the raised immolators of 5 astrogen grunts spoke volumes. Ariast hesitated, weapon down. Don't be stupid, Luco, Tarnal said, nudging his barrel. We take the data, head to Skogglefog, and part as buddies. Luco sized it up. 514. Dicey. His hand rested on a breaching mine's detonator. How about a trip to hell first? He growled. Tarnal's fingers slid to the trigger. Gutsy. Astrogen likes that. Pays well, too. This job's got a fat bonus. Doubt it. Ariast raised his immolator, aiming at Tarnal. Luco's right. Burn this crap. Tarnal shook his head. Ariast, don't stir the pot. You get how valuable this data is? I don't give a shit. Ariast squeaked. You saw what's going on here. Scared, pup? Tarnal laughed, his face twisting as Luco twitched. Freeze! Think, Commander. 5 million each, just for delivering the data. It's gotta be preserved. You know what I mean? Tarnal's words stung like venom. The darkness stirred again, slithering into Luco's memories, dredging up his darkest moments. And he caught Tarnal's hint. The ship was cursed. Where had it been for centuries? What horrors had it seen and brought back? Whatever lay in the Triads' vast databanks was everywhere now. Luco was done. Screw you. Tarnal, he thumbed the detonator. You crazy. Tarnal dove for cover with his goons. A flash, but death didn't come. Tarnal realized too late he'd been played. Flashbang. Dumbass. Saved it for pricks like you. Light 'em up, boys. More flashes. Lethal ones. When the dust settled, Luco turned to Ariast, who stared blankly, immolator trembling. Lower it, kid. Ariast didn't budge, fixated on something above. Look, he whispered. The team looked up impaled. The crucified corpse was smiling. Luco's blood ran cold. Something horrific clawed at his mind. Who? What are you? The darkness spoke. Your guide. To where? The deck shuddered. Luco felt the Titanic engine's roar. The ship was waking. The eyeless face twisted into a grimace. You already chose the road. Chaos erupted on the Fetishiel's bridge. Multispectral sensors went haywire. What the? Constantine's eyes darted across the display. Massive energy spike. An officer shouted. Mother of God, it's the Triad. Zooming in, Constantine saw ripples envelop the Triad's stern. The consortium crew watched, dumbstruck, as space around the colossal ship warped. Stimphala's ugly form twisted further. And in utter silence, the Allied fleet's ships tore apart, shredded by an unknown force. Doesn't look like a jump, Victor croaked. Get us out. Constantine's face was whiter than snow. Now, in a blink, the Triad vanished. A moment later, a gravitational wave obliterated the Fetishiel into dust. The Triad convulsed in sickening spasms, metal screaming. Gravity surged, pinning everyone. Breathing became torture. Agony consumed Luco, but he couldn't scream. From outside himself, he saw the world change. Space twisted, taking on alien dimensions. His tortured mind rejected the sights. Corridors curled into Mobius strips. Plazas warped into ellipsoids, then tori. Arches met at impossible angles, yet stayed parallel. Time flowed differently across the ship. He saw the other boarding teams. The Griffins were crushed into rippling steel floors. The termites fused into walls. The Manuals aged into frail husks, crumbling to dust in a blast of unnatural energy from the reactor. He saw a risen Marcus tear Sarge apart. Dozens of soldiers were scattered through space and time, separated by years, centuries. They met gruesome ends that were only beginnings. Now Luco knew what happened to the crew. 100,000 immortals were trapped where space and time took infinite forms. Their bodies broke under the changes, but their souls, they lingered, here and not here, today, yesterday, in a temporal void without a name. Merged with the Triad's AI, they became part of something greater, guided by a living corpse. The Triad transformed. Blood-soaked walls bulged as legions of mangled bodies clawed out, moaning. Crimson glows danced with grotesque shadows living their own lives. The ship's complex interior split like dividing cells, fracturing into pulsing fractals. Screams of torment, grinding bulkheads, suffocating heat, then icy cold. Stench. Creatures unseen in 3 dimensions revealed their monstrous forms. This was worse than hell. You're wrong, This is the universe, and we're headed where you wanted to stroll. To the inferno. Luco wanted to claw out his eyes at the geometric madness. He couldn't. The corpse grinned, black blood pouring from its torn mouth. Your idea of inferno is so small. Humans don't get that. Lowest means something far deeper. Luco doubled over, vomiting blood. Something tore him apart inside. Burned, corroded. Spaces with infinite negative dimensions. The universe's large-scale structure, superclusters forming walls and filaments, is just faint 3D ripples. A thin, iridescent stain on the waves of other abysses. Countless, varied, counterintuitive. In agony, Luco saw the Triad wrapped in a gray halo. A misty coma swirled with debris from dozens of wrecked Astrogen and Dangle ships. And hundreds of thousands of new souls wailed, hunted by things beyond description. Alive, Kamal exploded, showering the bridge in gore. A later vanished, leaving a crumpled suit. The minds of the survivors were seared by the tortured soul's tendrils, each soldier glimpsing their fate. The crucified thing smirked. Our journey's just beginning. Ariast screamed as his eyes burst. Gugo dropped dead. Vane collapsed on the console, blood gushing from his throat. With his last strength, he unleashed Ball. A banshee wail shook the bridge. The Triad shuddered as Ball battled the ship's warped soul. It fought back, but the virus locked its virtual synapses, shredding its neurons. Logs erased. Commands corrupted. Ball replicated wildly, crippling the Triad's defenses as it laughed maniacally. Servers exploded. The crucified thing thrashed in agony. The souls screamed as one, and Liuko's mind burned, unable to withstand the otherworldly assault. Darkness and silence fell. Like a statue, Luco stared at the limp corpse. Strange, seeing himself from outside. The Triad flew on, carrying its new master into the true inferno. Lemira shut off the info hub with a sigh. The fragmented reports from AS-189 were horrifying. A disaster. Now what? She asked. We're on the brink of war with Astrogen. After this, they'll go all in. Malia's Tum stood at the viewport, hands clasped behind him, staring into the void. Astrogen's losses, the cartels, even allied casualties didn't faze him. What loomed was far worse. We'll tighten control over the sector, he said. But this time, his fingers brushed his neck, where a crude tattoo hid beneath his collar. To most, it'd look like a scar. Not everyone could read Tuata's Encore. The tattoo burned, sensing the universe's ripples near Stimphala, confirming his worst fears. Stirred by the Triad's transformation, the demonic planet awoke. A projection of an unknowable hyperdimensional entity. It called to the ship. Where was the Triad now? Would it return? If so, how? What would it carry? Malians didn't know. Steeling himself, he turned to Lemira with a reassuring smile. This time, we'll do it right.